Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Hope you had a great lunch. We're here today, this afternoon, to discuss sustainability. And as you see on the board, it's creating the sustainable dealership of the future. And what we have this afternoon are two presentations. We're delighted to welcome Alison Jones. She's SVP of the Circular Economy with Stellantis. Now, she's going to tell us what it takes to actually strategically plan and take meaningful steps to help build a sustainable future. And she's going to give us that brand approach, a holistic approach, talking about infrastructure and opportunities therein, and operations rather. And then a second presentation, we have Jennifer Wilson, Partnership Director at Autotrader, and Richard Seaward, MD of Strategic Development, Sinclair. And they're going to tell us how it actually is in the real world of dealerships. No, I didn't mean that to be a comparison, just how to really get those principles embedded. Okay, I'll hand the floor over to Alison.
Thank you. Thanks. Hello. So good afternoon. So as you said, I'm Alison Jones. So I'm the Senior Vice President globally for Circular Economy in Stellantis. Some of you might not know Stellantis by its name, but these are our brands. So these are our amazing car, van, and truck brands that you will absolutely know and love. And that's our collection of brands that is represented by Stellantis. And I normally get asked, what is circular economy? So I thought I would start with that. In terms of the easy strap line is that you take any material, a vehicle or a part, you use less material to make it, then you use that as long as you possibly can, and we'll come on to talk about the practical aspects that many of you in dealerships are already doing on that. And then when you can't use that material any longer, you make sure that you can recycle it back in to the process to enable you to create more vehicles or more parts. And on the right-hand side, you can see this is the circles, and that's why it's called a circular economy, not a linear economy where you throw things away. And it starts with design, how you design your vehicles and design your parts to enable you to repair them, remanufacture them, and extend the use of their life. And then it goes round the various loops, and the green icons are where we focus and where you will focus as dealerships. So in terms of supporting and enhancing the usage phase, making that vehicle last longer, making that part last longer. Then when you can't, how we manage end-of-life vehicles. So either that's when it's an insurance write-off or when it physically gets to the end of its life in 15, 20 years' time. And then how you take that material and you recycle it back round into vehicles and parts in the future. And I'll come on and talk to it about that. So in our strategic plan, circular economy for Stellantis is a key pillar. We have set our goals in 2021 that by 2030 we would make sure that 40% of all of our vehicles launched, 40% of the content is green content. That's a big ambition. And we have said that we will be carbon neutral by 2038. And for circular economy particularly, it will generate 2 billion euros in revenue in the year 2030, and we're well on our way to be able to do that. At a practical level, it's got the 4 Rs, and this is where it comes into the parts part, the after-sales part of your business. So the ability to remanufacture, repair, recycle, and reuse parts is the practical application of circular economy. And on the middle, you can see our identity. So that's Sustain Era. That's the label that we use. So if you get a remanufactured part, a repaired part, it will come in a Sustain Era box. So your team are confident that it's a circular economy product that we have got. We also use that physically on our factories. So the factory that I've got in Italy that produces remanufactured engines, gearboxes, collects all the old material, and also does reconditioning and vehicle dismantling, has the logo Sustain Era. And in the future, as we start to increase the sustainable parts within our vehicles, you'll start to see small labels appearing on a seat that is entirely sustainable, as an example. So customers can have confidence in terms of our circular economy activities. And on the right-hand side, this is the compelling offer for your customers. Remanufactured parts. Remanufactured parts are parts that are original parts that have been bought back when they failed, stripped down, cleaned up, some new components added, and built back as good as new. But what they have is they're more affordable than an original part. They have a sustainable credential to them, and they have the same quality. There is no compromise. So if you have customers who want genuine parts, but they find them more expensive, this is where remanufactured parts come into it. Remanufacture is not a topic that's known well necessarily in our industry or actually by our customers, but customers are starting to ask for sustainable solutions, and that's what this offers to them. And for your CSR reports in dealerships or as OEMs, remanufactured parts are up to 80% less virgin material and up to 50% less CO2 emitted than an original part. So it's an important contribution to your CSR reporting or your ESG, depending on what you do within your groups. So this is the activities and the products. So we've got reman parts. I know they're quite small, but you think about high voltage batteries, engines, gearboxes, EGR valves, alternators. There are a whole variety, 38 product lines of remanufactured parts that are in the catalogue, available for you to be able to offer your customers. As I said, at a more affordable price, same quality, with a sustainable solution. We know customers are interested in sustainable solutions. The challenge can be, when your vehicle's broken down, it's not necessarily the thing that is front of mind, but you can sell it on price and you can sell it on availability. So it's an important contributor to you and your sustainability of what you offer in the dealerships. Repair. We have done repair as an industry for many years, but what we are doing around all our regions is expanding the product offering. So cameras, headlamps, things that historically have not been able to be repaired are now being repaired and being made available. Multimedia units, the Jeep media units are massive units. We can now repair those and put those back into customers' vehicles, which is great for them in terms of affordability, great for the insurance companies in terms of issues that they face. Reuse. Reuse is historically been around as well in terms of buying and selling from scrapyards, often to individual DIYers. We have a platform called B Parts. It's the leading e-commerce platform for used parts in Europe. That will be coming to the UK. It's rolling out now. It'll be fully available definitely by Q1 of 2025. What that does for you and the parts departments is open up access to be able to buy used parts with a 12-month guarantee, 24-month guarantee if you buy it through the Stellantis network, to offer to your customer to be able to put on their vehicles. Insurance companies are really interested in this because it enables them to be able to repair in vehicles that maybe they've not been able to do historically. It's an e-commerce platform integrated into your portal where you buy parts from Stellantis already, and it's for all makes. You can also access it as it rolls out as a B2C customer, so you can then do it individually even if you're not within the Stellantis network as well. So this is a key driver enabling access to used parts to be able to put onto vehicles in a way that's not been done before. Again, genuine parts with a warranty, and with our 24-month warranty through Stellantis, if you buy it through the Stellantis network, that is leading in the industry in the UK. And then recycled. Now, recycled takes two elements when you think about your dealership. There's your ability to send fluids away for recycling, which you have been doing. Sometimes you have to pay for that service. This is recycled product. So this is coolants, oils, and washer fluids that we have launched in the markets to enable us to offer a recycled product. So it's come from other industries that's been recycled to be able to use. Same quality. Again, what that gives you access to is the ability to be able to offer a green service contract to your customers. Really interested from B2B customers that you have, because it enables them to run their fleets with green fluids, which is a key contributor to their cost of running and their ESG credentials for their fleet. So this is a game changer in terms of service and maintenance contracts that we've been able to launch jointly with Total and Petronas. And then we have other activities. So on the bottom you can see parts recycling. You know, you often pay in dealerships to get rid of scrap. We want that material back. So for anything that we remanufacture we can repair, or we can put through recycling, we want back. We have a system that's called Back in the Box, which is literally that. We send you the remanufactured part, you put the old one back in the box, it comes back to us, we put that through a process to create another part. That's how the circular economy works. That saves you paying to have that scrap disposed of as well, and it comes on the reverse logistics that we already have set up in the UK and across Europe and in our other regions. We do that for high voltage batteries, we do it for many of our parts, and we also are bringing alloy wheels back, and it's well established in the US market. We bring alloy wheels back, put them through a shot blast process, they go into our foundries to create new vehicles, parts, alloy wheels. That metal is going around that loop, and we need to do that in every region around the world. Bumpers, a new one, catalytic converters, again, bring it back, access the material to be able to put into new. And that's the closed loop. That's what we're establishing all around the world, which contributes to us to be able to achieve carbon net zero. It takes scrap out of your business, enables us to then put it back into vehicles and parts for the future, which is a key challenge that we have as an industry, and legislation is moving us that way. Legislation across Europe is requiring increased percentages of recycled content or green content in our vehicles, in our parts. So we are trying to stay ahead of the game, ahead of the legislation, to enable us not to have legislation that forces us that way, that we are ahead of it. And then there's end-of-life vehicles, how you manage those vehicles that you get in that are write-offs, that need to be scrapped. Historically, go to auctions and through a process. What we are looking is to how we get those vehicles back, keep them within Stellantis so that we can use the material to contribute to the other topics that I've spoken about. We've got a joint venture with Galoo, it's called Valor Auto, that's been started in France and Benelux, so Belgium and Luxembourg, and we will roll out across the countries. But already we are interested in any country in terms of bringing back those end-of-life vehicles, buying them back to access material for remanufacture, repair and recycling and reuse. Because by bringing those vehicles back enables us to make sure that material can keep going around the loop. And our challenge is to build the next one. In circular economy, everything is being developed often for the first time, or how you access established markets to enable that material to flow round. Thought I would do a spotlight on high voltage batteries because it's quite topical and a hot topic often in terms of people saying about high voltage batteries. You get material for high voltage batteries, you build a battery, you put it in a vehicle, absolutely fine. And then there are different approaches. So you know within Stellantis we have certain repairs that can be done within our dealerships. If you need a more major repair, it goes to one of our e-repair centres, and we have 24 of those around the world. Our batteries can be repaired. And that's really important. Our batteries can also be remanufactured. So we can take out packs or modules. You can open up that battery and you can replace packs, modules to get them back to the state of health that they were before. Not every manufacturer does that. So most of our batteries can be repaired. They can be in either in dealership, in an e-repair centre, or they can be remanufactured. That enables that battery to be used for a lot longer than just being recycled. Then when you can't use it for a vehicle any longer, we have second life programs, so what you can do with that battery outside of our industry. And then when you can't do that, we have a recycling program. We have that already established in all of our markets where we sell electric vehicles. We have EcoBat here today, who are our partner in the UK. So when you hear stories about the fact there are batteries being left because nobody knows what to do with them, that's not true for Stellantis. We have a hotline you can ring, and we will come and collect that battery because we are committed to making sure that that battery gets reused in one way or another, or recycled to access the material. And that's really important. Not every OEM does that, and we do, and we're very proud of the fact that we do that. So then in terms of just confirming, we do this globally. So my role is to do this with teams all around the world. You can see the R's. We're rolling out more products. We're accessing more cores, the old material coming back. We increase our repair methods, and we increase our ability to recycle. This is a global activity for us, not one region, not one country. and we operate all around the world to be able to do that. And in terms of our reuse, our e-commerce platform, we have over 8 million parts available on that platform in Europe. We have over 1 million as we've rolled out in the US, and we will have the same as we increase in the UK as we roll it out throughout this year and into next year. And in terms of recycling, which is right at the end of the line when you cannot do any of the other activities, last year we recycled over 2 million parts as we started this activity. So these are our tools and enablers. I've spoken about them, but back in the box for you as dealers is the practical tool that enables you to easily return those parts that can then be remanufactured, and it's all linked into our systems to be able to do that. And on the right is an example of our factory that we have in Italy, and we're putting out in other regions. I have a repair center in Michigan, in Detroit, and we have battery remanufacturing in Rüsselsheim as we roll out our industrial infrastructure to support this. But we also work with some really strong partners and really strong suppliers in terms of what we're doing. And this is our manufacturing. This is closely aligned to what you do. How do you make a physical building, physical industrial facility sustainable? We are proud of the fact that Ellesmere Port is our first 100% BEV manufacturing plant for light commercial vehicles in Stellantis, and it's the first UK 100% battery light commercial vehicle manufacturing facility for any automotive company. And you can see there's 3 areas, which is similar to what you will be doing in dealerships. So we make sure we can locally manufacture. So bring the material in its smallest form. And so what you see if you ever go to Ellesmere Port is we have online injection molding for our plastics. So they then create the parts on site rather than transferring bulky parts on the roads. And you can see it contributes to a reduction in transport and CO2. They minimize waste, big topic for all of us in the industry, particularly in manufacturing. Cardboard, wood, plastics, how do you do that? And innovative transport methods enable you to do that. And we're looking for a 90% reduction in terms of what we've got. And energy, hot topic for anybody in dealerships, also in manufacturing. And we want to self-generate our energy. And you can see the target there is to have a 50% of our energy self-produced by 2025 and 80% by 2030. So for us, circular economy, sustainability is really practical. It's parts you can sell to your customers. It's where you can engage with customers around the sustainability, but actually more affordable. It's sold on price currently because we know that's a priority. And then in terms of our factories, very similar approach to what you have in your facilities. So we have reman products, we have repair, and we have a reuse e-commerce solution that's available for you in your dealerships to enable you to sell to your customers and also report in your CSR reporting that you do on an annual basis. And we're always looking to work with innovative and proactive suppliers globally and locally to enable us to expand our products and what we do to enable you to be able to sell to your customers. So thank you for listening. That's my short presentation. I'll pass over to the guys who'll cover theirs. Thank you.
Thanks, Alison. It's great to hear all the brilliant things that Stellantis are doing in this space and the 4 Rs. It's such a broad topic, isn't it? It's kind of often difficult to know actually where do you start. So today I'm going to talk a little bit and give you an overview around what Autotrader are doing generally in this space and talk through our strategy. And then I'm going to talk specifically about some of the work we've been doing over the last few years with carbon literacy. I'm then going to hand over to Richard, who's going to talk about some of the brilliant things that Sinclair Group have been doing, and then specifically, again, around what you've been doing with carbon literacy. So our strategy at Autotrader consists of 3 pillars. The first pillar is focusing on our own carbon footprint and putting the brakes on Autotrader's carbon. So that involves committing to net zero by 2040 and signing up to the Science Based Targets initiative, and also committing to halving our emissions by 2030. We've also recently partnered with an organisation called Undo, which is focusing on carbon removal, quite new in its technologies, but it's great to see some of the work they're doing in this space. The second part of our strategy is around supporting car buyers in that transition to electric. So that involves things like simplifying the language that we use around electric vehicles, the launch of our EV hub, where we have lots of editorial content focusing on electric, and just generally encouraging people to make that transition to EVs. The final part, which I think involves everybody in this hall today actually, is around how we together can build a more sustainable industry. So we have recently launched something which we call the Sustainability Hub, and that's around launching a broader online community. And I think it's important to reference that this topic is quite unique, that none of us are in competition when we talk about sustainability or building that sustainable dealership of the future. But we absolutely have to work together and share ideas. And that's very much what the hub focuses on. We also have a series of events that we run throughout the year where we focus on a different topic, bring in industry experts, and also people outside our industry that are actually just doing really good stuff in this space. So the final thing that I'm going to spend the next few minutes talking to you about is the work we've done with carbon literacy. So hopefully some of you have heard of the Carbon Literacy Project. There may be some of you in the room that haven't. So the Carbon Literacy Project are a charitable organisation, and they're a team of people that are really passionate about educating people on climate change and how they can encourage people to reduce their footprint. I don't know about any of you in this room, but I know when I was at school, it was never on the curriculum, it was never covered in any kind of syllabus. I think it was mentioned in one geography lesson maybe, and even then the jury was still out on this thing, like, is it happening? Is global warming happening? So they're really passionate about how they can work with different organisations, communities and businesses to create a bespoke toolkit across a variety of different sectors to help people understand how they can take action themselves. So they pull together a day's worth of training, and at the end of that day's worth of training, they enable people to become what we call carbon literate. So on the slide, you can see there what it means to be carbon literate, and essentially it is that understanding and ability to know what to do to reduce your footprint, whether that be on an individual, community, or organisational basis. And at the end of the training, you make a bunch of commitments. Those commitments get sent off to the project team, and they classify you as carbon literate. So to talk you through our journey with carbon literacy, it started about 6 years ago. I think even from Alison talking earlier, you can see it's such a broad topic, and it really is difficult often to know where do you start. There's so much you can do. And we were definitely in that stage when we were kind of pulling together our commitments, our goals, what do we want to do. We met carbon literacy at an event and thought, actually, this is a good place to start. Let's get our people educated. Let's make sure they've got that understanding to encourage people to come on that journey with us and buy into what we're trying to do and commit to the goals that we as an organisation want to achieve. So today we've got over 80% of our people that have been through the training. We're a platinum carbon literate organisation and the first FTSE 100 carbon literate organisation. Now, as brilliant as that is, it's a drop in the ocean when you think of the amount of people that this sector in the UK employs. It's over 800,000 people. So we've put about 1,000 of our people through it. And about 3 years ago, we started thinking, actually, what else can we do? Thinking of that last pillar of bringing the industry together in this space. How do we spread that message to the industry? So we decided to sponsor and launch the first of its kind automotive toolkit. You can see some of the partners on the slide, actually just a handful, of people that work with us to create a bespoke automotive toolkit. So that's a day's worth of training that you attend. And we personally have seen those, the benefits of our people going through that training. And actually, just to call out one thing, which I think is brilliant, a few months ago, we had some of our developers come along to the training. And we've got an environmental working group and come up with various different ideas. But actually, these developers came out of the session thinking, actually, what can we do? What's our business commitment? And their commitment was to look at giving everybody the ability to switch the Autotrader app, which hopefully many of you in the room have, to dark mode. And they actually work with a dark color palette to enable this to happen. Obviously, dark mode saves energy. And today, over 2 million people have made that switch. So that didn't come from our kind of environmental working group. That came from the people in our business attending that training. And I think it was very much those people felt empowered to come up with their ideas and make those commitments. So we launched the toolkit at COP26, so 3 years ago. I think we're on COP29 pretty much as we speak. And actually today, it is brilliant to see some of the numbers you can see on the screen there. So we've had 5,000 people go through that training and are now classified as carbon literate. And that's across 250 organizations. I should also call out, this toolkit isn't just for people that partner with us and work with Autotrader. This is for anybody who operates in the automotive sector. So whether that be retailers, manufacturers, fleet companies, lease companies, charge point operators, trade bodies, the list goes on. And you can see some of those partners or some of those people that have worked with us in this space. So how can you get involved? Please do reach out to us if you're interested in learning more about what carbon literacy do. Every month we host an open training session for anybody in our sector to join. So please do reach out. It's a fantastic initiative, and we've seen firsthand the benefits of that and bringing people on our environmental journey. Just before I hand over to Richard, I think we should also call out, I mentioned that point at the beginning around ensuring that we come together. You know, we're not in competition when we talk about this topic. And actually, we were talking just yesterday around how Sinclair and Autotrader have actually worked together to share some of the things we're doing from kind of both organizations to build your environmental strategy, supported us with our environmental strategy, and of course the work that you've done with carbon literacy as well. So I'm going to hand over to Richard to talk through all the work you've been doing. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for coming along and listening to what we've got to say around our sustainable journey. So I'm head of strategic development for the group. I pick up all kinds of operational responsibilities, and sustainability was one of those that was lying on the floor. No one else really wanted to pick it up, so I came along and grabbed it. The good news is you don't have to look like a dodgy hippie with long hair to get involved in sustainability. It just helps if you do. So I'm going to just take you through who we are, in case you don't know who the group are. Why a bit of work that we did on our business purpose led to a focus on sustainability. How you need to make sure you are focusing on your people and bringing them along with you. And then hopefully this will be the really useful bit. Talk about some specific actions that at a dealership level you can go away and do tomorrow to actually improve your journey towards sustainability. The joy of sustainability is it is the original win-win. I guarantee you, if you go away tomorrow and take some sustainable actions, you will save money. You're probably all in the middle of looking at the end of year performances, thinking, can we sell more used cars? Can we improve our service performance? Can we cut costs? This is a way where you can absolutely cut costs and you'll be doing the right thing. And then we'll talk a bit about metrics and targets and how to measure this kind of stuff as well, because we're in the motor industry. We all have a metric, don't we? So this is who we are. These are the groups we represent. And there's nothing special about us. We're based in South Wales. We run along the South Wales corridor. We started trading in 1945. We're still family owned. And we run about 30 different businesses, depends on how you count them. 950 plus people. We turn over 650 million, but as I say, we're still family owned. So nothing exceptional. There are groups out there who could double those figures easily. There'll be smaller groups out there. That's just who we are. When I picked up this role about 3 years ago, one of the things I started to question was, what's the point of the business though? We've been running since 45. We always thought about, we need to be a business that provides employment for local families. That was always the chairman's ambition. But as business gets more complicated and as life gets more complicated, that original purpose didn't really fit the bill. So we started doing some work on, well, what do we want to be as a business and what is the point of us? You know, we recognize that if we could try and find some easily understood purpose that our people, our customers, our stakeholders would understand, then we get some benefits from that. We'd start to answer the question, why are we coming to work? Why do I get out of bed in the morning? And then you start to realize, well, that shapes the impact that your business is having on the world, and does that matter to you? And hopefully it becomes an ideal that then motivates your people to kind of go the extra mile. If you do the research, about 75% of Gen Zers will say, actually, I would rather be paid less if I was working for a business where I felt my purpose and the business purpose was aligned. Now, I challenge you to try and take that money off them once they've got it, but that's the claim. People are desperately looking for a work that has purpose. So we did a lot of work. I've traveled the entire sort of 25, 30 businesses, conducted workshops with our staff, spoken about what is our purpose, what's our point. And we came down to this kind of sentence, really, which is we want all of our staff and customers to feel they belong for good. We want to build a lasting business that does the right thing with jobs for local families forever. That's still a bit of a mouthful. So we've distilled it down to belong for good. The essence of our business is we want you, whoever you are interacting with us, to belong to that business for good. And that's supported by 4 areas where we think we need to be focusing. And these are the messages that I take out to the business. We've got to be making sure that we're focusing on creating better jobs. We've got to make sure we're focusing on better workplaces, better world, and better communities. And the joy is those 4 areas all speak directly to the boxes around the outside, which are the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So you can join yourself up to this great big movement out there of people who are trying to do the right thing. But the joy is it really comes back down to your business and what you want your business to be. So we'd established this purpose, and part of that was this focus on sustainability, community, and the environment. So what do we want to do to make a difference? And one of the first things we had to do was get the people involved. So a couple of different roles. My role had been created about 3 years ago. Then we created a group environmental manager. His remit is purely to be across the business and identify opportunities to improve. We then grabbed people who were interested in this, so working with the willing, grabbed people at every site and said, will you be one of our eco champions? We want you to be the eyes and ears because we can't get across all these businesses to see what's going on, and empower them to say, switch that light off, turn that heating down, the kind of basic stuff you'd expect. The next thing we did, though, was really get engaged in, right, well, how can we get people to understand why they're doing this? And that's where the carbon literacy program, the timing was perfect. We were already doing a lot of work with Auto Trader, talking to them strategically about how can we learn from their business and vice versa. And if you haven't done it yet, I'd recommend you reach out, because behind the scenes with Auto Trader are a lot of really committed people who are trying to really make a difference. So the more you can spend time with them and learn from what they're doing, it will benefit your business, and we've got a lot from it. So we engaged in carbon literacy at almost exactly the same time that Auto Trader did, and we were able to come along and sit and listen, and went through the final session they held when they were test piloting it. But because we were down in Wales, it was kind of tricky to get up to Manchester and take our staff, so we found a local training provider who did carbon literacy training. So if you have a look around, if you can't get to Manchester, you will find there are local providers who, for not a lot of money, will be able to take your guys through carbon literacy program. So we made sure all our eco champions were trained. Then we did the big one. We got the board to come along and spend a day and make sure they were all trained. And at the end of these days, there's 2 things that come out of it. You have to commit to an action that you will take in your personal life to improve your footprint, and an action you will take to improve your business. So you're now starting to get multiple people across your business who are saying, this is what I will change in my business in order to make it more sustainable. Our ambition is that we will put 50% of staff through this training in the next 2 years. So we're busy working through how does that program work and what's it look like. We're going to start it with new starters. Our induction program is going to be adjusted, so all new starters will be going through carbon literacy. We've been across the group. We've taken this purpose and sustainability workshop to all of our businesses. There is no replacement for getting out there, sitting in front of people and talking to them about carbon literacy, the carbon challenge, and why it matters. And if you can tie it in to a purpose to your business, all the better. And then to try and mobilize the whole group, we introduced a volunteering day. So paid volunteering day, our expectation is that you go out into the community and do something during that day to help the community. The only criteria is the community has to be better off as a result of your intervention than before you went out. So hopefully we've got a band of people now who are going out there to try and show that the Sinclair Group is serious about its impact in the community and the environment, and making a difference. So the kind of actions that we've actually done, the first one's the big one. If you don't already have solar panels on your roofs, that needs to be your first action tomorrow. These things have never been cheaper. And the payback time is 3.5 years. We're going to put them across. We've already got some in place. We're putting them across the rest of our businesses. The estimate is this is going to save us 30 million over the next 25 years. And I defy you to come up with a saving right now that in your business will save you £1 million a year. It's an absolute no-brainer. There are lots of really good, reputable businesses out there who will absolutely do this for you for a limited cost. I've written the tender document. If anybody wants a copy of it, I'm happy to share it. Say you even doing that. Change your name at the top and send it out. As Jen said, this is an area where we are not competing. We've all got a shared responsibility to improve this. So the more we can help you, absolutely the better. Happy to do that if we can. We kicked off a recycling project. That currently is saving us, seeing a reduction of 75% in the amount of waste that we produce and is carried away from our sites. That matters because every bin that gets removed from your site that's full of general waste costs you 3 times more than if it was recycling. Each site is going to save between £5,000 and £10,000 this year just because we're sorting where we are putting our waste. Cost saving that's available immediately for you all just by buying a set of cheap bins and putting some green, blue and red stickers on the top of them. We've changed our waste oil supplier. We used to just have it taken away, and I don't know if you're aware, generally waste oil from our cars is used in the marine industry. Ships have 2 tanks. They get 10 miles out of shore and they switch to the dirtier oil tank, and off they go and burn all that dirty oil, sends the carbon up into the atmosphere. We've actually started sending our waste oil to a different supplier who uses it and recycles it and creates base oil that is used instead of fresh crude oil pulled out of the ground to create the oil that then goes back into the car. Again, massive impact, and so far we've seen this year 150,000 kilograms of carbon that has not been produced, has not been sent up into the atmosphere, just from the waste oil coming from our cars. We've gone digital, so both of our sales and service departments are paper-free, or as paper-free as you can get an after-sales manager to be. They love having a job card, don't they? Oh, every time you go to their desk, there's something hidden under the tray. What's that? That's a job card. Why is it paper? It doesn't need to be there. But we're getting there. And there are a lot of suppliers.
But I'm just wondering, people are going to want to ask questions. We've only got 7 minutes left for this session. It's fascinating. So please, if there's anybody, I've got one question actually for Alison. In aviation, the reuse of remanufactured parts always comes with a cast iron provenance. And how will dealers be reassured that there will be a provenance thread if they're going to, if their after sales are going to actually be using these Stellantis parts?
They're available in our catalogue, so they have the provenance, so we know the bin that those parts have come from.
Yeah.
They've gone through a remanufacturing process either in-house or with one of our strong suppliers, and that provenance is there. If you buy it from us, it's the same as any genuine part. The provenance is proven.
Yes.
So it's automatically there. It's the same quality as an OE part. It's more sustainable and it's more affordable. But the provenance is exactly the same as a genuine part.
And just a quick question about, sorry Richard, the battery repair and reuse. Mm-hmm. So is the European plant the one in Italy? So
yeah, so I've got one in Italy and one in Germany.
It's the only one. So there are a lot of batteries going to be moving to
No,
and
no,
fro,
so not for the UK.
Oh,
right,
okay.
So what you have to do is you have to build it up by region. So when you're remanufacturing batteries, you need a scale to enable you to do that. So we have Italy and we have Rüsselsheim in Germany, enabling us to do that. Of course, moving unsafe batteries around comes with different legislation.
Yeah.
So we're looking at how we do that in the UK as well. We can move them across there, and we do some of them. But as the volume increases, you will then set up local hubs to enable you to do it, because it needs to achieve carbon net zero is no good moving batteries all around at the same time.
Yeah,
So,
right.
but yeah, the ability to remanufacture is different by OEM, and the fact that ours can be repaired and remanufactured is a really important positive point, and for your customers if they're involved in a collision. So we have an 8-year warranty, so if a battery fails in that point, then you think, well, okay, that the battery has failed, it's covered by warranty, so that's confidence for your customer. But if a customer is involved in a collision and it's an insurance claim, they're not covered by warranty for any manufacturer. So the ability to have a repaired or remanufactured battery significantly reduces the cost of that insurance claim, which is significantly positive for the customer in terms of their insurance premium every year. And that's where you get a USP by having a battery that can be repaired or remanufactured compared to one that cannot. And you can see that in different parts of the world. Certain manufacturers' insurance policy costs are increasing dramatically because they don't have that solution for their electric vehicles.
Great, thank you. Richard, Jennifer, how do you get buy-in? I mean, it seems to be an organic within Auto Trader, but did you struggle, Richard?
Yes, definitely. You've got to be relentless. You've got to keep pushing hard. Not everybody cares as much as you care about this. One of the keys is really, can you try and find stories that engage people, that make them want to get involved? So we send 20,000 number plates to be incinerated at the moment,
right.
But we're dealing with another partner who we're looking at potentially engaging with. They actually grind them down and they're used to create prosthetic limbs. So if you can find these kind of lovely stories that sort of people start to go, oh, that's a great thing to do, just to get people talking about it and sharing those stories, that really helps.
I also think as well, look, there's always going to be people out there that are sceptical, and you're always going to have those people that push back a little bit more, but we've got a sustainability network at Auto Trader where you've got a group of really passionate people that talk about this topic and spread the message almost for us. So it's kind of get on board the people that are interested first, and they'll bring those more difficult people on the journey for you. You know, empower people to support this message.
So does it have a website, the Carbon Literacy Program?
It does. It absolutely does.
So just Google that.
Yeah.
Google Carbon Literacy. You can also go onto our Auto Trader's Sustainability Hub. If you Google that, there's information there around.
Yeah.
How
Well,
you can get
I'm sure
involved.
a lot of people today are being inspired by those everybody's stories, and they are, very, positive stories that are really quite a challenging time in the history of automotive. Okay, then, thank you so much. Is there any last question? Although I must admit it's going to have to be a very quick question and an even quicker answer. Okay, one at the back.
I've got a quick question. 40 years ago, when I started work with my Ford family dealership, the scrap skip and the batteries paid for the Christmas do. Do such direct incentives still exist?
What was the last part of the question, sorry?
Do such direct incentives still exist,
Direct
rather than just
incentives.
doing it for the right thing?
I honestly can't think of anything that sort of is quite that level. And it is a challenge to move away from that, because you're absolutely right. They're so used to, well, this is what we get. This is our right. It's through communication. That's the only way you can achieve it, is explain the why. And hopefully whoever's complaining most, put them on Carbon Literacy Program, and they'll understand why we need to do something different with that scrap metal.
Great. I think we'll leave it there, guys. These folks will be around if you want to catch them, ask them any more questions. I'm sure they'd be delighted to.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.